Hello and welcome again to Not Fake News. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and smash that like button. We have a very interesting story to get to about Paul Ryan and how he's letting more H-1B visa applicants slide through to help with the increasing need for workers along coastal areas, especially during the holiday, like right now. Normally they had a lot of illegal immigrants working for them. Hint, hint, why they want to keep them so much, right? Hint. Anyway, so that's what's happening. And the problem is it's going against Trump's Make America Great plan. What's happening in these coastal areas is that there aren't enough illegal immigrants because they're all leaving or being deported. So that means that Americans can take over those jobs, right? So Americans will have more work, right? Wrong. Paul Ryan is coming in and he's allowing another 15,000 more in on top of whatever the cap was for the year. Okay, so we're going to get into that right now. Let's do this. Now, I know you think you heard it all, but I also have another video with InfoWars, and one of the guys on there breaks it down, and you really should wait and watch to see that part too. Knife in back, Paul Ryan just did something awful to Trump and America that should get him fired. Should get him, but it won't. Story by Paris Swede. Homeland Defense Secretary John Kelly is going to print 15,000 additional H-2B visas for foreign blue-collar workers in 2017, says the agency in a statement. Wait a second. Foreign blue-collar, right? Blue-collar, meaning what I just said. They'd be willing to work those things as well. This was announced at 11 a.m. today and said the following. U.S. businesses in danger of suffering irreparable harm due to a lack of available temporary non-agricultural workers will be able to hire up to 15,000 additional temporary non-agricultural workers under the H-2B visa program. Now, I might have said that they were illegal earlier. I was wrong. So, well, but you know that they have a lot of illegals as well. But they were able to just take, get these people from these programs, the H-2B programs, or H-1V programs, and pay them a lot less than they would pay an American, and that's why that they really want to keep them, these different businesses. And I'm talking about every business, but mostly the coastal ones, like that are booming right now. Like resorts and hotels and Disneyland. I heard Disneyland was one of them. Remember what Trump said about H-2B visas? Now this is very interesting. I'm going to watch this now.
H-1B visas. I found where I read that before. It was from the DonaldJTrump.com website, and it says that again, Mark Zuckerberg's personal senator, Marco Rubio, has a bill to triple H-1Bs that would decimate women and minorities. Are you in favor of H-1Bs? Are you opposed to them?
I'm in favor of people coming into this country illegally. And you know what? They can have it any way you want. You can call it visas. You can call it work permits. You can call it anything you want. I've created tens of thousands of jobs. And in all due respect, and actually some of these folks I really like a lot, but I'm the only one that can say that. I have created tens of thousands of jobs. And I'll be creating many millions of jobs if I'm given the opportunity to be president. As far as Mark is concerned, as far as the visas are concerned, if we need people, it's fine. They have to come in to this country legally. We have a country of borders. We have a country of laws. We have to obey the laws. It's fine if they come in, but they have to come in legally.
Thank you, sir.
That was mentioned in your question.
You get 30 seconds. Yeah.
Well, I've learned the rules on that. Look, in addition to what Donald is saying, we also need to talk about the legal immigration system for permanent residency. Today we have a legal immigration system for permanent residency that is largely based on whether or not you have a relative living here. And that's the way my parents came legally in 1956. But in 2015, we have a very...
In 2015, we have people exploiting that process and not using it for the way that your grandparents and parents intended and the law was intended.
Very different economy. Our legal immigration system from now on has to be merit-based. It has to be based on what skills you have, what you can contribute economically, and most important of all, on whether or not you're coming here to become an American. Not just live in America, but be an American.
Thank you, Senator. Carl?
Mr. Trump, you've said you...
Okay, so, continuing, the decision is a betrayal of Trump's promise to American people, like I said, to deliver blue-collar jobs to Americans. According to one opponent of the bill, interviewed by Breitbart, the decision was put through by GOP members of Congress and is a betrayal of Trump's campaign promise to deliver blue-collar jobs to Americans. And I explained a little bit how that is, but InfoWars is going to explain it very clearly. So watch this, folks, and I hope you enjoy the show. InfoWars.
Now we have the GOP pushing foreign workers. These are the same people who are always the never-Trumpers, the GOP establishment. And as we pointed out before the election, we said with the President Trump, his biggest opposition is going to be within the GOP. And this is what we see. We see them opposing Trump's Buy American, Hire American agenda. It was last week that we had people in Maine complaining about how they couldn't find workers. And we talked about how Senator Thom Tillis from North Carolina, part of the GOP establishment, was pushing on behalf of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to raise those limits on foreign workers, the H-2B visa program. Remember, that was a program in Disneyland, Disney World, where they told the American workers, you're going to have to train your replacements from foreign countries or you're not going to get severance pay. That's what we're talking about here, folks.
Wow.
So let's take a look at this story from 4 days ago, and then we're going to show you.
Did you hear that? That's what I was talking about. I heard something about Disney. What did we just hear? Disney said to the workers, the Americans that were working there, you're going to train these H-2B visa people, or you're not getting your severance package when we fire you. So they're being fired. They were forced to train H-2B visa applicants the job and then fired and given a severance package. And if they didn't train the people, they didn't get a severance package. Wow. The first thing that pops into mind is Germany, communism, China, sweatshop. Those are the first things that pop into my mind. Okay, I'm going to continue now. Told you this is going to be good.
You what happened today with Speaker Ryan raising the limits on foreign workers coming into America. This is a story from the Daily Caller 4 days ago. Shortage of foreign labor forces Maine businesses to hire local workers. Oh, gee, you have to hire Americans, you mean? So businesses in Bar Harbor, Maine are turning to locals to make up for a shortage of foreign guest workers that normally fill summer jobs in the seaside resort town. They say because the H-2B visa program has already reached its annual quota, they're having to hire Americans. I said, like hundreds of similar coastal resort towns, Bar Harbor has for many years depended on H-2B visas for temporary workers, just like Disney World is doing. They say all types of businesses, retail, restaurants, tour boats, all the trips, everything, all types of workers are needed, as they're telling the Daily News. Now, why is this happening? They say the annual limit on H-2B visas is set at 66,000, but that's not a real firm limit, because they can not count toward that number. Anybody, once they come into the program, they can return for another 2 years, and they're not counted towards that. So that's 66,000 new people each year. And we're talking about millions of workers who have come into the U.S. cumulatively over this. So it was 66,000. And Congress gave Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly the power to raise the limit by as many as 70,000 extra visas this summer. And this is something that they are going to rush through. Let's take a look at what happened today. This is Speaker Paul Ryan squeezing another 15,000. So first they give Homeland Security Secretary the capability of bringing in 70,000. And then today, it's like, we're going to bring in 15,000. And this is Paul Ryan putting this out, saying U.S. businesses in danger of suffering irreparable harm due to a lack of available temporary non-agricultural workers, will be able to hire an additional 15,000 temporary non-agricultural workers under the H-2B visa program. And then Secretary Kelly said, Congress gave me the opportunity to provide temporary relief to American businesses in danger of suffering, and they keep using this phrase, suffering irreparable harm due to a lack of available temporary workers. They say this decision was forced by GOP leaders and Congress, and as they're very right, it's a betrayal of Trump's campaign promise to deliver blue-collar jobs to Americans. That's one opponent of the wage-cutting visa program. And this is reported by Breitbart. It says Kelly's decision to increase the foreign workers threatens to reverse the trend of reports emerging around the country, listen to this, of employers working harder and raising pay to successfully recruit more unemployed Americans for lower skilled jobs. That's the president of Numbers USA. Now, of course, this is exactly what the GOP legislators want. The Never Trump people, they don't like his agenda. It wasn't just that they didn't like Donald Trump. They didn't like his America First agenda. They didn't like his Buy American, Hire American agenda. All of this personal politics is really because they're trying to shut down his agenda because it opposes their globalism. They say nationwide, companies already employ at least 1.5 million wage-cutting foreign outsourcing workers, most of whom work in white-collar jobs that are taken away from American graduates. And of course, they did this on an emergency basis. So they did this behind closed doors. They did not even allow a time for the public to provide comments. Why do you think that is? Well, because they have to help these struggling businesses like Disneyland, Disney World. And so Zero Hedge says, with all the growing number of companies complaining about the inability to find workers, why aren't wages growing? Well, wages are not growing, and they point out since 2010, the highest year-over-year wage increase in any month is near 2.6%. But they said for a 2-year stretch, between the summer of 2011 and the summer of 2013, wage increases were less than 2%. That I would call the Obamacare effect. Companies knew that Obamacare was coming in. They were not hiring. That was the summer of 2011. They knew that that was on the books because whether Obama won or whether Romney won, they were going to have some kind of mandated insurance. And as they point out in Zero Hedge, it's not just salaries. Obamacare and other benefits are hurting companies. So they have to look at the total compensation package. And with the mandated coverage of Obamacare and the other added-on costs that they have put on from the federal government, it's not just salaries. Regulations actually cost you pay. They cost you jobs, especially when we have our government bringing in foreign workers.
That's it. Thank you, InfoWars. Putting together the ending of this video perfectly. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and smash that like button. And when you subscribe, it doesn't work unless you do 3 things. When you click subscribe, you got to hit the little bell that's next to it, and then you got to check notifications. Then you're subscribed. If you don't do that, it doesn't work. Because YouTube, they like making it hard on everyone. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Not fake news.